Hey guys, welcome back to more relationship drama stories. In this video, my crazy toxic mother demands that I give one of my twins to my infertile golden child sister. Let's dive right into the video. And the title story starts like this. For many years now, I've been happily married to my amazing wife and I'm slowly building the perfect family with her. We have two 4-year-old girls who happen to be twins. They are the best thing alongside my wife that has ever happened to me. Of course, as with all children, they have their challenging moments, but most of the time they are good as gold. Speaking of gold, for the first 3 years of my twins' life, my golden child sister was completely unbothered by them. If we were all together for someone's birthday or something, she would make absolutely no effort to greet them or play with them or just be around them in general. Obviously, this is not a requirement, but it's just odd considering how the last year has panned out. Now, part of the reason why my sister is rather distant with my children and me since having them is because of her infertility. This is also why I had never pushed the matter, as I assumed it was hard on her to see her brother having children when she herself could not have them. She made numerous bitter and snarky comments over the years regarding this, some very hurtful, and although I do believe she has no right or excuse to say these things, to an extent I can understand. My sister found out from a very early age about this infertility, and since then my parents have treated her like a living deity. She is certainly their golden child and has been since all those years ago. I'm not sure why they suddenly switched up, maybe sympathy? Not a clue. But nonetheless, my childhood has been filled with "move your certificate off the fridge, your sister painted a photo in school," which later transitioned into "you will have to move out the moment you're 18 to give your sister the bigger room." If anything, those are some of the lighter things they have said, most of the emotionally draining comments coming from my mother more so than anyone. When my children were born, my mother was ecstatic. Don't be fooled though, she didn't once congratulate me or my wife, she just ran into the labor room and demanded to be let hold the children. My wife refused, to which my mother stormed out saying that we were hogging them as if they were some possession. Well, fast forward those 3 years and we are throwing the girls a birthday party. "Hey, thanks for coming," I said to my mom as I hugged her. She smiled at me in a way that ever so slightly unnerved me. "We wouldn't miss this for the world." My sister then enveloped me in her arms and gave me the same too bright smile that told me immediately something was up here. If that was not enough, she then ran over to my girls and hugged them as well, picking them up and spinning them around. "I think it's great what you're doing," my dad stated as he passed, leaving me very confused. "What was that about?" my wife asked. I shook my head, not a clue. During the meal, which was a picnic in our backyard, my mother stood up and tapped on the side of her glass. "I would like to make a toast to my children," she began. "As many of you know, my lovely daughter was not blessed with the ability to bear children, and today we have come up with an incredible solution." Everyone was just staring at her, very confused as to where she was going with this. "Our son has twins, so we decided that one of them will be our daughter's daughter." More silence reigned on other than the cheer from my sister. "What?" I asked with a laugh. "Come on, son, it makes perfect sense if you think about it." My mother rolled her eyes. "How does it make any sense to have my twins grow up apart from each other? They are already so attached." My mother thought for a moment. "That's a good point, but if you would like, you could give both of them to your sister instead of just the one. There would be no giving of any children, they are not possessions, and just no, she's not having my kids. What kind of a conversation even is this?" I laughed, wondering what on earth was happening here. "Oh, stop being so selfish," my mother snapped. "You're just overreacting." "I thought you had already agreed to this," my father added with crossed arms. I shook my head. "No idea where you got that from, but I most certainly have not agreed to such a thing." "One twin will certainly be enough for you. I don't know what all the fuss is about," my mother scoffed. "Sorry, why are you talking about giving away one of our children?" my wife said as she came out from inside, her voice dangerously low. My mother ignored her and carried on talking to me. "Your sister deserves the gift of a child, and if this is how you're acting, maybe you don't deserve a family." I felt like I'd just been slapped or stung by a million bees. "Mother, may I have a word in private with you?" I asked once I realized everyone was just staring at us. My mother walked over to me and together we walked inside. My wife was glaring daggers into my mother's head in a way I'd never seen before. It was impressive. "Mom, what on earth are you doing? This has to be some sort of joke, right?" I asked with another laugh. She rolled her eyes and said, "There's no joke. You know this is the right thing to do considering your sister's infertility." No, there's no way on any earth that I would agree to this. It's ludicrous. Listen, if you don't stop, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the party. It's a day to celebrate my children. My mother huffed once more before storming out saying, "You're the epitome of selfish." She did stay at the party, but I had a feeling that she was up to something as I kept getting very nasty looks from the others who were attending. I don't know what she was saying, but something which had my sister nodding along and wiping fake tears from her eyes. Over the next few weeks, I received numerous messages on Facebook from our family and friends calling me selfish and that I was a horrible sister. Apparently, I had teased her for our whole childhood about her infertility. Everyone was demanding that I just let my sister have one of my children. It was the way they were all saying have and give like there were some possessions, which made it feel just so much worse. My wife was a wreck because of it. She became very protective of our girls, understandably. Even if I got a little nervous at times that my mother would decide to just steal one of my kids from school or something, just in case that did happen, we took her off the list for people authorized to take them from school. I tried to reason with everyone, but it wasn't happening. A few more weeks passed and my parents had resorted to bribery. Come on, we know how much you've always wanted the car. We will treat you to it if you let your sister have one of your children, my father stated. Absolutely not, I yelled back down the phone and hung up. I could feel a rift being torn in my family bigger than it ever had been. I had a chat with my wife and we both agreed that at this point the only thing I could do was to just cut contact with them. They were being way too toxic and I didn't want it to impact my wife any longer. Furthermore, I don't know what I would do if my children ever found out about what was happening, and it was that last thought that had me blocking my parents and sister on just everything. Maybe it was the petty thing to do, I'll let you decide, but there really was no reasoning with them, no matter how much I tried. So after cutting them off completely, we had a few weeks of them spamming us from new accounts and occasionally turning up at the house. We threatened to call the cops if they didn't stop the latter, which thankfully they did. Ever since then we are rarely bothered by them and my family has been thriving without them. There's much to be said for a life without such a toxic and drama-filled family. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I would say OP definitely dodged a huge bullet here, and that was absolutely the perfect decision to go no contact with this family. Also, I'm curious, what would you do if your mother demanded that you give one of your children to your toxic sister? Let me know in the comments, I'm really curious. And now let's continue with the next story. This one is titled, "They hired someone new instead of promoting me and now I have no motivation to work." So it's been a few months now since this happened, but I cannot get past it. And I guess I just want to get this off my chest in hopes that it will help me get over it, and here we go. So I've been working at the same company for over 6 years. The company is medium-sized, I would say, and at the time I was hired, we did not have a marketing department. With time, the company grew, and after 1 year of working there, they offered that I be the one to kickstart the marketing department, and I accepted. For 2 years, I was the only person in the marketing department. I did everything all by myself. I knew how everything worked and I kept my numbers and quality high that my manager even asked my boss to give me a bonus for my hard work. As the company grew, the work became too much for just one person, so they gave me a team. We were now 4 in total. I trained and pretty much led the team, but the thing is, my title never went past marketing agent. I thought that with all the things I'm doing, I would at least get marketing manager by now. Well, I expressed this to my manager, who said that they'll see what can be done. Months passed and my title remained the same, but then in a meeting with my manager one day, they told me that our boss is thinking that there should be a marketing team lead on the team. They said that they think it's gonna be me, as I started off the department, trained everyone, have the most knowledge and have been in the company for 6 years now. Obviously, I got excited hearing that and I patiently waited for boss to finally drop the news to me. However, the news ended up being that they were looking for a marketing team lead. And they decided to hire externally. I cannot even put into words the way I felt. Even now I still feel like I've been punched in the gut. It feels so unfair and humiliating. I was the first person in the marketing department. I have the most experience. Why would you hire someone with 0 experience instead? Well, I asked my manager why I was not considered for it, and their response basically was just, "Boss just couldn't see you being a team lead." Hearing that seriously killed my self-esteem and made me feel even more humiliated. They eventually hired the person to take on the team lead role, and what made me want to slam my head against a wall is that they made me train them on everything I knew. Listen, the new team lead is a nice person and I really don't want to hate them because it's not their fault, but my bitterness is just so strong. I don't even want to interact with them unless I need help. So now I'm stuck being the marketing agent forever, I guess. But what really drove me to write this on Reddit is the new team member. One person on the team left and was replaced with someone else who just started last month. The team lead is on vacation, so I was the one asked to train the new hire. As I was training them, we talked and I told them a little about myself, about how I started the department and everything. Then they said, "So all that just to not be team lead?" And that honestly just pissed me off. I don't know if it's their wording, their tone, or the look of pity on their face that got to me, but I just shut down. I laughed it off, finished up with training, and just barely worked the whole day. And the day after that, even now, I feel like my numbers are lower than usual. My quality definitely dropped, but I just cannot care anymore. I know I could just quit, but this company's benefits are amazing, and I've made so many friends here that would make leaving so hard. Traveling for work every few months allowed me to see different cities and take in new experiences. However, I just cannot get past this and I don't know if I ever will. I might just go through the days until I really just cannot do it anymore. If you've read up until this point, thanks for your time. And now we got an update to this story. I just want to thank you all for your advice. You've all been very helpful and you've all given me the confidence to send my resume to other companies for a team lead or manager position. I'll be sending my resume to more as they pop up. The market is terrible right now, but I'm pretty confident. Now I just have to act like normal in this current position until I hear from one of them. Wish me luck. For those wondering how I trained the new team lead, well, I did not teach them everything I knew. Hell no, I taught them enough to do their job, but when it comes to the deeper knowledge, I held back. I personally just thought it was the smartest decision for me, as teaching them all I knew wouldn't have benefited me at all. It is up to my company to teach them everything else, not keep relying on me. When I was asked to train the new hire, I did mention that I shouldn't train them if we have a team lead. But the boss hit back saying that I would be responsible if the team fell behind if we waited until the team lead got back from vacation. I didn't want to cause stress for the rest of the team and myself, so I stupidly complied. I did consider threatening to leave if I didn't get the team lead role, but I held back because I was afraid of the response. I was afraid they would have just let me go and I'd be left unemployed without a backup job, especially considering the job market right now. But I guess my pride also played a part in it. I really wanted to be given the team lead role because they believed in me and wanted to give it to me, not because I threatened them, but I also do quite like my job. So I thought I could just suck it up, but it's really not worth the mental suffering. And another update to this story. So I got a job as marketing team lead. I just finished week 3. The market is rough right now, but I'm glad I didn't give up and just kept applying. My new job's a little challenging, but my mental health is in a better place now, knowing that I could finally fully let go of that grudge. If you're in a similar situation, don't lose hope. When I gave in my notice, I would just pay to see the look on my boss's face again when I told them I was leaving for a marketing team lead job. They tried to salary match, but I declined. They asked what they could do to keep me, but I kept it polite and just said that it was time for me to experience more in a different role now. I could tell they were really pissed, but I couldn't care less. And then apparently, they talked smack about me to the manager, that I was betraying them and all that BS. It is so embarrassing. Of course, before I left, I asked my manager what I needed to improve on to be a better team lead, so I can do even better in my new role. I was told things like be a little more strict, have more confidence, and other things I made sure to write down to work on. And I know it's been months, but I still wanted to ask again why I was passed up the promotion at this company. So apparently it's because they made it so that the team lead did more admin work, more team reports, team evaluations, team decisions, and coming up with new procedures and less marketing. Apparently, since I'm the most senior with consistent results, they did not want to lose that by making me team lead. So then they figured keeping me as a marketing agent was the smartest move for the company. I fully understand their decision, but screw that. I feel like I'm actually doing what a team lead should be doing in my new company, and that's all I really wanted. It just feels like they're still trying to figure out what a team lead should do, and I'm not willing to stick around for that again. Thank you again everyone for encouraging me to look for another job. I got way too comfortable in my last job that I allowed them to walk all over me. You are not handcuffed to a certain company forever. It's okay to leave when you feel there's no more growth for you. Have a great one, everyone. And the next one is titled, Boss Ruins Entire Company. So I, 37 female, was working for a homegrown company for 15 years. I first started as a sales associate and made my way up the corporate ladder. After 6 months of working as a salesman or saleswoman, I got promoted to assistant supervisor until I became the supervisor and then got promoted to branch manager and then area manager after that. Several years later, the head of the marketing department, the owner's wife, decided to recruit me to their team. I decided to give it a go since I was already feeling burnt out at the sales department. I asked my direct boss Debbie for her approval and to let her know of the offer given to me. She was not given a heads up by the bosses, by the way, they just decided to talk to me directly. Anyway, she gave me the go signal and I got the job in the marketing department as a graphic designer and was happy for a while. Although I got to work directly under the owner's wife, let's call her Brenda, who had a lot of episodes of shouting and throwing stuff at us whenever she doesn't like the ideas presented to her. I sucked it up because of my workmates who I've become close with. She was so terrifying to work with that we all feel happy whenever she's not around and we feel more productive as she's not breathing down our necks. Whenever Brenda is not around, the head of the HR department, let's call her Lizzie, would make it her personal business that we are all in our seats doing work-related stuff and not talking. She would also point out stuff in our office saying papers need to be put away or turning on all the lights despite us always saying we prefer working under dim lighting. Just small irritating things that ticked us off, but we just carried on. Cue the pandemic. Remember I said I was a graphic designer? Well, here is where everything becomes hell. We first worked in our homes and used WeChat for the logins. Aside from chatting in, we were also required to send out selfies of ourselves in our workstation to Lizzie. No problem. It was a small thing to do before we started work. Everything was fine and dandy despite all the backhanded comments Lizzie was saying, whether it was true that we are in our workstations or we could be outside. She claimed to have seen several of us at the grocery store during her leave, but never said who it was, so we just shrugged it off. I never left my house anyway, since I was living with my grandparents, my mother, my sister and her toddler plus an infant. So when we were asked to return to the office, resignation letters came one after another in my department until basically I was the only one left. Everybody got scared to go out since vaccines were not available yet as of this time. Since I was the only one left in my department, I was given the task of updating the website despite not knowing anything about it, managing all social media pages, all 20 of them, and doing the layouts for all social media channels, doing the product shoots to sell them online, assisting online customers, ringing up their purchases, performing ad hoc cashier tasks, going to the nearest courier to ship them out, which is by the way a 20-minute walk from our office, and doing all the main pages live selling from a 6-person team. It simply became just one person doing all the tasks. Why did I not just resign right there and then, you ask? Well, my mother was laid off from her job as a restaurant manager and my sister's husband, who works overseas, had to cut back his hours due to the skeletal staffing they had to be placed under, just so no one gets laid off in their company. So my income along with my sister's husband's monthly deposits was the only money sustaining us for the time being. I barely take any breaks and most of my tasks were being left undone due to the high volume of orders we've been getting online. I still made sure to do other tasks during off-peak hours, but I'm kept on my phone more frequently as customer inquiries are not dwindling down. Brenda promised me she would get someone from other departments to help me, but no one came. Lizzie told me someone is coming soon, but still nobody came. During this time, Brenda never went back to the office since she was afraid of being exposed and exposing her twins, both still toddlers, and her mother-in-law, who is a germaphobe. So she asked Debbie to step in and supervise me. Now, Debbie was a great supervisor. During my time with the sales team, she gave me stellar reviews and I always passed our evaluation with flying colors. This time, however, she seemed out to save her own skin. Since she was from the sales team, she would look for other people to blame for the low sales. She, along with Lizzie, monitored me and played good cop, bad cop. Now remember, I was already doing the jobs of the whole department. I was a single person doing a 6-person job, never received any bonuses or a salary raise. I was earning just a little over $200 per month. I'm not in the US, but if I convert my salary to dollars, that's about it. During this time, they hired a new person to do the website. Let's call him IT, so updating the website was already off my hands. They decided to give this guy a salary of $600. $600! To take a single task off of my hands. I was hurt. I have been with the company longer and worked my butt off and did not even receive a $50 salary increase. That made me decide to start looking for a better paying job where I would be appreciated more. Now this IT guy looked up to me since I was older than him and also have been with the company longer than him. We became friends. I did not hold a grudge against him for getting a bigger paycheck than me, since it was not his fault. Lizzie thought they would get him to spy on me, but instead he became my inside guy. He would tell me that whenever I would leave my workstation to get water or relieve myself, Lizzie would immediately come and look for me. I know he is telling the truth, since this has been confirmed by both myself and our co-workers. One time I went to the comfort room and Lizzie followed me to make sure I was only going to the comfort room and not somewhere else to play hooky. Several times also she looked for me from the others, and when I would go to her office to ask if she needs anything, since they told me she's been looking for me, she would only say, "Oh, nothing, I don't need it anymore." Take note that this happened more than once a day. One day Debbie sat me down and asked me what was up and why I have not been performing my tasks very well. I stared at her. Surely she could not be serious. Me? Excuse me? Debbie, Brenda and Lizzie are concerned because you've been performing poorly. The social media pages are a mess. They have not been updated. Me, have you forgotten that aside from the old tasks I had, I've been doing more than I'm basically alone in the department? I have more tasks under my belt than I can manage. Debbie, yes, I did tell them about this. It is just that they are also concerned that you've been going out a lot. Me, yes, to deliver the items our customers order to the courier since we are not qualified for pickup. Debbie grimaces. Lizzie actually saw you in an establishment that's not the courier. Me, where? At the pharmacy? Well, pardon me for buying medicine for my headache instead of calling in sick for the day. Debbie, oh, I see. I guess she misunderstood. Okay, don't worry about the additional staff. Lizzie is currently interviewing applicants to replace those who left your department. I felt horrible. I felt like I had a CCTV on me all the time. I even felt that just going downstairs to get water was a crime. I was truly miserable, but all of my job searches were turning up nil. IT guy was the one doing the meetings with the other departments now, since I was too busy with the online orders. One time he told me of this conversation between Brenda and another department head, the boss's sister, Sam, who is Debbie's boss. Sam said, "Why aren't our pages being updated?" Brenda, "I don't know about OP." Sam, "Is she not working?" Brenda, "She said she's busy." Sam, "Why? What is she busy with?" Brenda, "I don't know," in a sing-song voice while looking down at her nails. This was later confirmed to me by Lizzie's assistant, who is one of my work best friends, and all my former teammates from the sales department who were present during the meeting. I made a lot of friends on the sales team and they have remained loyal to me since most of the existing supervisors and assistant supervisors were trained by me. Boy was I mad. Now during the pandemic we were required to fill up a form listing all of the tasks that we worked on. We would tick them off or put a note beside if it's still in progress, disapproved, approved, etc. We also had weekly meetings which I attended all the time just to let them know what I've been working on, and Brenda adding new tasks to me. There was no way she would not know what I've been working on. This spurred me to look for another job quickly and fast. Now during this time I was able to get a part-time job where I worked 4 hours a day but still received twice my monthly salary. This allowed me to save up for a good computer so I can pursue my dream of being free of the shackles that bound me to my miserable job. I bought myself a computer, companies began hiring once more, and I started sending out resume after resume. As soon as I get home late in the evening, I was job hunting. I finally got accepted into a foreign company that paid me in dollars. I was offered more than twice my previous salary because of my skills, but now the start of the revenge. So I did not submit my resignation just yet until I had a job offer signed and sealed. I made sure to cover all my bases. Come a few days before Christmas, the GO was finally in my inbox. I was only too happy to sign it and send it back to my new company. Christmas morning, I gave my 2 weeks notice to Brenda, CC'd Lizzie and Debbie. I did not hear anything from them until the day after Christmas. Debbie then called me. I cannot recall the exact conversation we had, except I just told her that I've been offered a job with a higher salary. She did ask me if I'd be interested in staying if they matched the salary offer, to which I replied no, because I did not need to work in a toxic environment where I'm constantly being watched and scrutinized by the heads. She also told me that Brenda was panicking and was shouting at Lizzie, telling her to do something to make me stay. They both thought it was the best idea to have Debbie talk to me before doing anything, but anyway, I told her that my mind has been made up, which she respected, and told me that we'll see each other the week after New Year. Now for my 2 weeks notice, I specified they would be covering all holidays, so by the time we went back to the office, I only had several days left to turn over everything. On my last day, we had a Zoom call with Brenda where I bade all my colleagues goodbye and wished them well. Lizzie jokingly asked me, "You really won't change your mind? Is that your final answer?" No, I won't change my mind. I don't see any problems with my leaving since apparently I have not been doing anything. The look on Brenda's face was priceless. I smiled at her and proceeded to walk to our server where we log out. I left the building with a spring in my step and my shoulders felt like a huge boulder has been lifted off. My mother and my sister even commented that I seem happier now since I got back to singing and whistling and dancing in my chair while working. Now all my friends give me updates once in a while. Lizzie's assistant tells me that several people were hired to do my tasks and that Brenda has been feeling frustrated. She's been asking other people who were in charge of some things and she would always fume whenever they would tell her that I was the one in charge. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I would say that is how you leave a company in style. If you have any interesting stories about quitting a toxic work environment, then please feel free to share your story either in the comments or on r/ripe stories on Reddit. And yeah guys, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of my daily uploads. And also check out my podcast by searching for Ripe Stories on Spotify, Amazon, Audible and other podcast platforms. You will often find exclusive episodes and early access to new content. Furthermore, please check out my Patreon by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or my YouTube membership program for even more exclusive stories. Thank you so much and I will see you again tomorrow.